Peace and blessings, family. This is your boy Gerald. It is Thursday, April 6th, 2017. How are you doing? I hope you're well. You're almost on the backside of your work week. Hopefully, you've been sidestepping the negative by grounding your feet, placing them first, because your life is priceless. And you know what? I feel a certain kind of way right now. I do. I do, family. Because the truth of the matter is, there's really not anything I can say to you that can convince you to see your value or your worth. That's the hard truth. But I'm going to keep on speaking my truth. Because, see, I see your value, I see your worth, the importance of your dreams and your legacy. But I also see something else, something more deeper. And I wanted to share this to somebody. And I hope that it will be validation to where you are, because I don't have an agenda to tear you down. I want to build you up. I want you to win, because we're talking about your life. That's right. Yours. So can I just get your attention just for a moment? So how you been? Did you actually think I was just gonna disappear? No. Because see, when I was in the darkness, when there was a moment where I knew what I needed, but I didn't have the courage to claim it. When I was playing around and I was like, well, yeah, I believe, but I didn't believe in me. That was when I was tested. And you might can finally have the courage to admit to yourself that some of those burdens, some of those woes, some of those emotional scars that you hold away, tuck down, you put your face on before you step out into that world that does not owe you a thing, only to repeat it day in and day out. Let me tell you something. You're on the verge of claiming that, oh, all those things that you dreamed about. You're almost there, but there is going to be a trade-off required. And the question is, do you have the fortitude to do it? The trade-off is, will you allow that little boy and that little girl that still exists inside you for you to finally give that person its voice? Because until you do, you won't have the clarity you rightfully deserve. Until you do, you won't understand what intimacy is all about. See, if you allow people in your circle to dictate your perceptions, you can't build off of that. Did you hear me? You can't build off of what is being illustrated if you don't know you. So let's go and talk about that beautiful word called intimacy. See, if we allow the social dynamic to pretty much define what intimacy is, you automatically think about the physical connection between your dynamic, your relationships, those you align yourself with. How about those people that influence your day to day? What about them? Because it is about each one teach one, family. See, if you're not learning something new, you're not growing. And if you're not growing, you're stagnant. And what happens when you become stagnant? You attract what is toxic. Who am I talking to? Let me put it in a better perspective for someone. You know, those last tears that you tried to stuff down inside you, and you felt that, well, maybe because I can't be myself, I'll get behind the steering wheel and I'll drive far, far away so I can allow the real me in space. Let me ask you this. Why can't you do that same thing where you find sanctity in your home? Why can't you find that inner peace in the confounds of where you lay your head? You can. But what's required is you be honest with yourself. And not to sound stark, because I think somebody needs to hear this. Until you make that decision to dedicate in what matters, that means the investment, which is the makings of you, everything you went through is in vain. Yeah, you know, that disrespect that little Shay Shay said to you, or that assault that Charlie did to you, or that disappointment that your parents may have said by not supporting your development. What about that? Do you realize how many people are walking around on this planet with mental illness? It has gotten so misconstrued, they think that is nothing but a badge of honor. No, that is the foundation of what makes a narcissist. And narcissism is nothing but an umbrella term for not taking accountability or ownership of your life. That is why it is a splintered tree. Because once you graduate to that level, you first must become a sociopath. Before you connect to that level or echelon, you must be schizophrenic. And before you become schizophrenic, the seed is planted because they are deemed bipolar. Or how society has tried to convince the populace and our children and say, oh no, little Johnny, he has ADHD and he's hyperactive, so we're going to give him something to dumb him down or slow her motor skills and pretty much be controllable. Why aren't we talking about that, family? But you turn on the airways and you have nothing but illustrations of how to destroy your life. Why aren't we rejoicing and singing about building? Because no, everything's about the party. Everything's about what you got away with. And mind you, you may have gotten away with it and you chuckle and laugh, but little do you know those that you have offended. They may be laughing even more because that was nothing but the tool needed to fulfill the lie. Who am I talking to? You think that you got one up over on Steve? Steve figured you out on the first hello. He just had to figure out what the bait was. Because, see, you can't undo actions done, but you can learn from them the moment you decide to claim you. So let's turn the page. So this week, family, I was feeling a little unrested because my mind has been placing pieces of the bigger puzzle down to give me a better understanding of not only where I've been, but where I am. And I say this because for those who have been supporting me, they know that I am a connoisseur when it comes to music. That is my second love. My first love is God. Without him, I am nothing. He is what makes my purpose by way of my discernment, which is what reveals my direction. But to have that come to pass, I must have a connection. I got to have a connection with him first. So if you're feeling a little scatterbrained, if you're feeling a little cloudy, if you feel like you're under duress, how about that depression you've been trying to hide for the last 5 years of your life? Oh, I'll just take a drink here. I'll go ahead and take a little bit of that until the high is not high enough, not taking into consideration that you are ransoming your temple. You know, your body, you only have one. But they're not going to talk about that. Because, see, they want you to believe that life is about made for TV, not made for reality. That's why it always plays out the same way when you see your favorite idol. Like, wow, they look so bad. They've gone through something. They've fallen from grace. How is it possible? The stories always repeat themselves over and over and over again. But that don't have to be your story. So when you hear people say, well, what don't kill me makes me stronger, Gerald, you got to finish that sentence and say, well, what didn't kill me was because God carried me through. So if anything, that should let you know right there, you got unfinished business. There's a reason why you woke up today. And suffering was not in the cards. So let me ask you this. Who, what, and why is keeping you from loving yourself? Did you hear me? I said who, what, and why is keeping you from loving yourself. Because until you decide to love yourself, family, everything that you've gone through, you're giving them a pass. They're making a mockery of you. Well, that's all right, Gerald, because sometimes you got to get under someone to get over someone. Guess what? They don't love you. And they don't have intentions on being there when you need them. But they'll gladly take what you give. They'll gladly distract you from your purpose. But what they won't do is take accountability for your time. Who am I talking to? So how you been, fam? Gerald's got much love for you. And a lot has been going on, family, because I always stay vigilant to what's going on. Even though you don't see me, first of all, I stay prayed up. And I pray for you just like someone prayed for me. And it's no secret you are seeing this, or everything that's being showed in your life is happening at this moment. Why? Because the devil don't want you to become the person that you were born to be. Who am I talking to? You actually believe in 2017 that demons don't exist? Why you think that behavior and that last comment that you heard that made your boots shake came out? Why? Because you're getting too close to change. They can't afford that. That's why I conveyed long ago. You think you know your friends? You think you know your family? Why won't you ask them, what is your purpose? And if they can't answer that, family, you have to have courage. And you have to walk alone. You have to. You said, well, Gerald, that may be in regards to my family. Why do you think they treating you the way they've been treating you? Maybe it ain't even got nothing to do with you. Maybe it has to be connected to the people that you are connected to by blood and bone. And you are a living example of their failures of what to do. Who am I talking to? Especially if you look like them. You're a walking example of where they failed. But what is a failure? A failure is a means not to acknowledge what is present and not having the ability to correct it. That sounds like insanity, doesn't it? It's one and the same. If you're constantly doing the same thing, expecting a different outcome, who are you fooling? You're not supposed to be waking up with another struggle, family. Because every moment that you wake up is an opportunity to grow. So with that being said, let me shift. So Tuesday morning, about 3 a.m. in the morning, I woke up from my slumber and my mind was working. It was doing some analyzing of things that had transpired in my life, and the aha moment were gone. That was nothing but his angels removing the clutter, facilitating my rightful place and understanding. Because see, God ain't gonna give you nothing you can't withstand, family. But you gotta be willing to look at that beautiful person in the mirror and say, I deserve that. So I got up and I walked out into my garage. And, you know, I'm tinkering and putting things in place. I'm moving boxes and I'm, you know, and I'm also praying, and I'm like, Lord, there's a reason why you woke me up. And I know it has to do with what you have my mind processing, but I know it's going to be okay. So I didn't worry about that. I didn't stress over that. I allowed him to do what he was going to do. And I came in and I sat down and cut the TV on. And it was on BET, and BET likes to run their videos, you know. And just so happened they were doing a set of videos featuring one of my most favorite artists of all time. Prince is up there, I mean, it's a close first and second. And just so happened, as I sat down and I cut the TV on and there was a video going on, one of the greatest albums ever made. I was not aware that they had made a video for him. And I knew they had made it after he had passed. And which, as I speak, being it's the 6th, he passed away on April 1st. I'm correct, 1987? No, 84. And the person I'm referring to is this person right here. That's right. Marvin Gaye. And what you see right here is a sealed copy of one of his most prolific albums ever. The What's Going On album. Everything on this album is relevant today, family. And his work is found here on YouTube as well. But the one thing I always wondered in the back of my head about this man, because one thing that we have in common is we're both from the same birthplace, and that's Washington, D.C. And, you know, when I was younger, I did a lot of research about him. A graduate of McKinley Technical High School in Northeast DC, and the impact he made on our city. But it wouldn't be until later on in my development, in my early manhood, that I started to understand the man separated from the artist. And I never forgot this album. I remember going to buy the cassette 2-3 times. But see, I first heard it from my parents. And the words were so pivotal because everything he talked about in that album is relevant today. Socially. And just so happened, the video that they made about that song has imagery of what's going on today. So it made me wonder, what would Marvin say now? What would be the impact of that album? Because time has a way, history has a way of always repeating. And it's very simple because that's God's way of telling you, did you get the message? Do you understand? Because if you don't understand what's being shown in your life, you're going to repeat it. And the only thing that's going to change are the faces. But the challenges will intensify. I'm saying that for somebody. If you're not happy, why aren't you speaking your truth? What's keeping you there? That's for somebody. You do understand you can't take it with you. And you can't buy happiness. Even though socially they want to convince you that all you have to do is, yeah, good luck with that. But love is not for sale. It's priceless. And what you don't want to do is end up like so many people that have come before you, that have had that light bulb moment. Hit them, shake them when they realize what was given the whole time. Who am I talking to? But see, you have those people that don't want love, but they want you. And they will give you what you want until you ask them for what you need. And that's when the masks come off. That's when the opportunists are seen. You know why they're seen, family? To let you know that you deserve better. Who am I talking to? But as long as you choose to put your pride and ego first, to claim your denial, you'll never have what you need. You'll never be able to get off that emotional roller coaster. Who am I talking to? I know there's somebody saying, well, I thought it was all about sex, Gerald. He knows how to stroke my ego, but I feel alone. I can't have a conversation with him because he don't know how to have a dialogue with himself. You know why? Because he never had someone teach him what it is to be a man. Anybody can be a provider. But just know this. Until he or she makes the decision to have a connection with God first, they'll never have a connection with themselves. So if they can't have a connection with themselves, what do you expect is going to happen to you? Maybe that's the reason why when you are at each other's throats, it's never resolved. You just get another purse. You just get another trip. You get another sexual favor, but you're still feeling a certain way, right? There's no ownership in denial, family. You deserve to have your happy ever after the moment you decide to love you. Because as long as you stay broken, you ain't going nowhere. And they know it. You have some people so bold, they will tell you that. What? You ain't going nowhere. Or flip it. You can leave if you want to. I'm going to go upside your head. They'll strong arm you. And you think that that's what love is because he called you out of his name, or you took it upon yourself to destroy what was important to him, maybe materially. Don't you realize you just gave that person an upgrade? But what you don't hear people doing, what you'll never hear, you'll never see a million caretaker march. You'll never see that. Why? Because they know sooner or later, you're going to end up in your final resting place. They know that. I know there's somebody crying right now because I'm speaking to your heart. Just know God got something for you. Only he can fix it. You cannot get high enough. You can't sleep. Look, they want to convince you that as long as you're getting it in, that's all that's required. But what they don't realize, what they don't want to tell you is you're damaging your body. That's why right now, there's about 40% of the women walking around that are sterile. You ain't talking, why ain't you talking about that? Because they want you to be Miss Independent. You know why they want you to be Miss Independent? Because they don't want you to have a man in your life to protect you from you. Don't believe me? Why you think social services set up the way they are? Hmm? That's for somebody. They want you to think, well, as long as I've got me a child that unconditionally love me, I'll be okay. No, you're not. You're going to set your child up for failure because you're a bad example of what growing up is about because you refuse to heal yourself. Or you like this one. Well, I'm just going to be educated and then add the capstone to it called the man. No, it doesn't work that way. Because if they're not spiritually grounded, your home won't be blessed. That Jezebel spirit will be there. And every time you try to put something together, it will fall apart. And guess who wins? The devil. Because he's all about perversion. He likes the fact that you are unstable, even though that you're trying to project that you're solid as a rock. Mm-mm. Do you not see the consideration of the things that have constantly played? Even though you try to be witty and try to say, I'm smarter than them, that'll never happen. But you pay the price even more because guess what? Nobody can make you do anything you don't want to do. And here's something different. If you had it, and I'm not beating you up, Queens, I love you too much. But one thing I've never understood is this. And feel free to leave a comment. I would love to hear from you. There are two questions when it comes to you, my flowers, because you know you are the wildflower to the world. That's why all of you are unique. Why are you putting so much energy in the illustration of what womanhood is when they're not? Somebody's pulling their strings to get you to play the tune. You hear it in the dialogue. You see it in the fashion. But nobody's talking about how you going to talk about upliftment and you don't have spirituality up in there. It's because they don't have it. And they're praying that you don't see it. And they're doing that to distract you and pull you away to convince you that I've done too much. I can't go back. I can't change. This is all it's going to be, and that's just the way it is. Because guess what? They know as long as you are choose to do that, they're going to make all kind of money off of you. Because they know that your emotions are like this. They know that. And it has gotten to the point now that it is seen in our little boys. Now more than ever, our little boys need men. Not bedmates, men, spiritual ones to mold them. You can't do that, Queen. I'll do you one better. And I'm bringing this home, millennials. You know how I just said history has a way of repeating itself? Do you not see the commonality with your generation? I'm talking about the millennials. And the commonality with the flower children. The flower children are those that were reared in the 50s and the 60s. You're both doing the same thing. You're both doing it. If you look, you'll see parallels in what's going on. He was talking about it. How can you talk about social awareness if you're not spiritually grounded? what's going on. Both generations, you are experimenting with your gender, with your psyche, with your health. Both generations. Who wins? The medical community. Because they know that the choices that you make now are going to take statistically 20 to almost 30 years to fix. Those are the most influential times of your life. But they can be. It just depends on if you want it. You need it. But it does not come to pass until you decide to declare it. I'm just saying, family. But then I also told y'all too, this is the season of the ant and the grasshopper. The ant prepared, observed, and was strategic. The grasshopper, all it did was hop around, and it cost him its life. That's why you should be asking yourself this. Where are they now? Where are all those people that said, I'm going to always be there? Or were they really telling the truth and saying, well, what I meant was those emotional scars will always be there? Because until you decide to not only take accountability of where you are now compared to where you were then, as well as the role you played. Mm-hmm. This is not shade. This is to let you know that free will, the right to choose, is the foundation of what you manifest. Why? Because your circle is an illustration of you. So, Charlie, while you're tripping on your girlfriend and she's not acting right, but you see the behavior of her girlfriend, just know her girlfriend is an illustration of who she really is. That also goes with little Dwayne, because he won't get off the couch because he doesn't see the importance of his life. But he's a good lover, Gerald. Yeah, he'll do that as long as you don't ask for what's really required. Because he'll never make you feel, he will never have the tools for you to be emotionally safe. And that's what you need. See, if you were emotionally safe, Queen, you have no problem speaking your truth, because it would be by way of your grace. Do you realize you get more done just with silence than the loudest octave you could make? Maybe that's the reason why it's still to this day, there are two questions that are always echoed when it comes to our beautiful women. Why won't she take accountability for what she's done? And number two, why is it that she can never understand? Why is it that she can never decide where to go eat? I know somebody's going through that right now. They hungry, but they can never tell you what they want. But we love you still. We're not going to give up on you. But we need you to be the person you're destined to be. So the trade-off is you're going to have to purge. You're going to have to cut these people off. You might have to love them from afar, but if they're not growing for a reason. And they're not growing for a reason because You don't demand it because you ain't grown. Sure, they'll give you all the trinkets because that's where we are now. We're all about show, not application. And we wonder why you have those who have and those who don't. And I know that there's a lot of people right now mad about this administration, but y'all don't even realize what's going on. See, stop blaming the people that you see because they wouldn't be there if we didn't put them there. You want change? Your greatest impact felt is at your city council level. You do understand that. But until we are able to sit down at the table, we can never have a dialogue. Therefore, that means, Queen, you're going to always stay mad. And guess what? There's a lot of feminists out there that want to represent you because y'all have a commonality together. See, those feminists will never take ownership for their lives. Therefore, that means they won't heal. Therefore, that means the person that's being vocal is not really that person. That's a show. And that's why the frustration comes, because when you ask someone, well, why are you so angry? They want to dance around what's really going on. Maybe that person didn't have a connection with their father and the wounds were so great. They said, you know what? I'm done with him being with a man. I'll just get with Sheila because Sheila broken just like me. And as long as she condones, I can roll with it too. But guess what happens? Sooner or later, Sheila's going to go through more burden too. And eventually, you're going to come back home. You're going to come back home. You're going to at least try. But if God's not there, just like so many people, they end up being on a road that goes nowhere because love does not exist. That's for somebody. So why are you giving these people access to you? Are they building? Are they each one teach one? Are they speaking their truth? Because if they're not doing none of those things, guess what? They're banking that you won't either. It's time for you to claim your life back. Because when you do, you'll know what peace of mind was all about. God is praying for you. You know I am. I see your worth. And for that, it helps me discern mine. Because guess what? As long as you decide to give passes, make excuses, turn away, you're setting up the perfect example and environment for those opportunities to exploit your life. I mean, if anything, what do you think those tears are for? Be blessed.